All right, fitness update time. And we're also going to talk about some fitness myths because there really isn't a whole lot to report on the fitness journey, unfortunately. I'm pretty much still stuck at 239. Um, there's been some slight signs of movement. Like I've had a couple of weigh-ins in the 238s, like 238.8. But until we have a weekly reading, I'm not going to jump to the conclusion that we're making progress yet. Because as you know, there's natural water fluctuations. And so we need more data to confirm. But in the meantime, I've also tried to lock up my cardio a little bit better. I'm doing an hour on the bike on days where I don't lift, and then a half hour after my lifting sessions on the days that I do lift. So that had been a little bit haphazard, and I think there were weeks where I ended up only doing like 2 days on the bike. But now I'm locked in that I'm pretty much going to do the bike every day. And it'll be an hour on most days, half hour on the 3 days a week that I lift. And then the bench press, which we were updating, had kind of hit a stall anyway, but I've now shelved benching temporarily because of the bicep tendonitis issue I'm having. And so I've instituted a whole program of heavy isometrics for tendon strength. Mainly focused on my right bicep tendon, obviously. But I figured it's probably a good thing to just incorporate in my whole body. So, for the biceps tendons, I'm doing 3 times a week. I'm doing like a full like three sets. I think there are 3 sets right now. I might need to up it to like 5 sets, but doing 3 sets of the heavy the heavy isometric for the 30 seconds. And on other lifts, when I feel like it's an appropriate lift to do it on, after my whatever 3 or 4 sets that I do for that lift, I'm doing 1 heavy iso. It just seems like a smart thing to do to stay ahead of the tendon problems, even on the ones where you don't have a tendon problem. Keep the tendon strong. The bench is definitely not going to be gone permanently. Because I love to bench. That's like one of the main reasons I work out is to bench. But I really think that the bench press is a big part of the problem with the biceps tendon. So, and especially I've gone to a wider grip. Like there was a time earlier on in my life, but not too early, when I had accumulated a lot of shoulder issues, and I had gone to a very narrow grip on the bench press to deal with the shoulder issues. But now that I understand how to, strengthen my rotator cuff and stuff, I went back to a pretty wide grip, and so I come down and I get like a really good stretch on the pecs on my bench press now, which one makes you stronger because you're incorporating the pecs more into the lift versus tris and shoulders. Gives you a stronger bench press. But it also works more of the muscle that you're supposed to be working on a bench press, which is the pecs. But the only problem with that is getting that really deep stretch back there. I think that's what's irritating the bicep tendon. So today I replaced it with just floor press. Had the bar like on pins, and I only come back as much as until my elbow hits the floor, so I don't get that deep stretch. And I went with a narrow grip again, a narrower grip. And so I'm either just going to do that, or I'm going to do something even completely different for chest. I don't know, but I'm not going to be doing bench press for maybe a month or so, and then we'll see how the tendon feels. I just have to have faith that the isometrics are good for the tendon, because the tendon's still like irritated. But the thing is with these isos is the iso will irritate the tendon. That's part of the process of of remodeling the tendon is that it's going to irritate it. So I feel like for at least a couple of weeks or so, I'm probably never going to be in a situation where like the tendon feels great, like I don't even notice it's there, which would be the normal state that most people are in. But we'll have to assess that. Like, I'd say maybe after like a month, if my tendon's still irritated, then maybe I'd have to rethink whether this scientific information on the heavy ISOs is really that valid. Although, I mean, I don't know. In the grand scheme of, remodeling a tendon, a month isn't even that much, though. But I feel like after a month, I shouldn't really be like in pain or in any kind of discomfort. I don't know. I might need to do some more research on that. But that's my thinking right now. I feel like on like the days in between working out, though, I'm already starting to feel like the tendon feels okay. If not 100% back to normal, it's definitely like not as bad as on like a workout day. Or, certainly not as bad as on the day where I'm doing the heavy ISO. That's obviously irritates the tendon a little bit. But okay, so workout mitts. So talking about the bench press, there was some of these are like from the 90s. Some of them have already been debunked, but I think a lot of people still believe some of them, and some of them are still widely believed. This idea that there's certain lifts you have to do. And this comes a lot from the powerlifting community. Like, basically the powerlifting community in the 90s was really into sending out this propaganda to the general lifter that you have to do the heavy compounds. Like, if you're not doing the heavy compounds, then you're just a pussy. You're probably gay. You're worthless. Everyone should mock you, and you're never going to build any muscle. And that's just crap. There's just no truth to that whatsoever. It doesn't even make any sense when you really think about it. If you put a muscle under tension and for enough time, and you put that muscle under increasing amounts of tension, i.e. progressive overload, and then you supply that muscle with the nutrients it needs, which is both protein and carbohydrate, the muscle will grow. Assuming you have some kind of testosterone to signal muscle growth. It doesn't really matter how you do it. If you do that, your muscle will grow. Your muscle doesn't know if you're doing a bench press or a squat or a deadlift, or if you're doing a machine chest press. And honestly, if you're a power lifter, then of course you have to do those three lifts, because that's the whole sport. The sport is those three lifts. But if you're a bodybuilder, I'm not even sure those three lifts are the best for anything. They could be the best under certain circumstances if you have like limited time. Like, obviously, if you asked me if I could only do like 4 lifts, because I could only go to the gym for 4 days a week, and I only have like 20 minutes. Well, under those kind of restrictions, I'd say, yeah, if one of your days should be deadlift, the other one should be squat, the other one should be pull-ups, and the other one should be bench. Of course, because they're compound lifts. That's the only way to hit that many muscles in that short a period of time. But if you told me that I want to build the most possible, or I want to build the biggest pecs possible, and I have such and such a time, I wouldn't say bench press. Because you can target just the pecs much better with other things. And definitely, I wouldn't, if you said quads, I wouldn't say squats. If you only had this amount of time for quads. What I'm getting at is that these The compounds do exactly what you think they do. They hit a lot of different muscles, but they don't hit any particular muscle better than an isolation exercise. So you absolutely don't need to do the compound exercises. And I do think that they do lend themselves more to injury. I mean, that's something that pisses a lot of people off when you say it. But I don't think there's any question that more people have hurt themselves doing squats and deadlifts in particular. But bench press, I guess, is probably too far behind. But squats and deadlifts, it's very easy to hurt yourself. They're very technical lifts. They're dealing with very heavy weight in order to be effective. Because the more muscles you involve, the more weight you're going to have to use to put a proper amount of load onto all of those muscles. So, you know, if you talk about like literally just like dangerous things, I think like 90% of the people that kill themselves lifting, it's from bench pressing alone in their basement, and the thing falls in their neck and they have no way to get it off them because they don't have a spotter and they don't have safety pins. Very stupid. But also squats. I mean, there's been 2 high-profile, at least this year, cases of people squatting without proper spotting. Just having everyone has like a guy behind them, and that's just not enough when you squat. I mean, these 2 cases show that they both had the guy behind them, but if the weight falls forward onto your neck, that guy behind you is not going to help. You absolutely, what you really need to have is safety pins every time. I mean, yeah, it's a very low percent chance of happening, but risk has 2 aspects to it. It has the percent chance that it'll happen, and then the consequences if it does happen. You know, I can handle a pretty high percent chance that I'll stub my toe, but the percent chance that a 600-pound weight is going to snap my neck and kill me, I would like that percentage to be very low. You know what I mean? Pretty much 0. So yeah, so you don't have to do that stuff at all. I mean, you could build an incredible body without that stuff. Other fitness myths. Oh, there was this myth that some people still try to push. Luckily, I think most of the really quality channels don't subscribe to this, but I'll see half-assed people that don't really have updated facts. They'll still quote this from the 90s, and that's that weightlifting is better for weight loss than cardio, and that's just completely false. I mean, you burn so many more calories when you do cardio than when you weightlift, no matter how hard your weightlifting session is. Like, you could go in there and just bust your ass, man. Like, you're going to failure every single time, every single set. You're doing like 5 sets per exercise. You're doing all these exercises. I mean, you get out of this workout and you are just ready to collapse. You could take that workout, and if you did the equivalent amount of time, just like in zone 2 cardio, just like relatively easy cardio, like barely breathing hard, you would burn way more calories doing the cardio. I mean, that's just the nature of cardio. It's a constant strain on your system throughout the entire, like, you know, to do a weightlifting workout like I just described would take you like an hour, right? Just imagine if you were riding a stationary bike for an hour, or even better if you were doing like an elliptical for an hour. I mean, you would be just like drenched in sweat. Like, the amount of calories would be a lot more than lifting weights. So in my opinion, depending on what your goals are, I think maybe like if you when you're getting older, you might want to lift weights. You know, at least do some minimal weight training program, because your bones start to get more brittle. You start to naturally lose muscle, and just to prevent that process, or not, you're not going to prevent that process, but to try to stave off that process as much as you can, maybe an older person does need to lift weights. But if you're somebody in your 20s, I honestly don't even think you need to lift weights at all. Like, you could have a perfectly, like, fit body, look great, and all you do is just cardio. Like, absolutely, if somebody asked me, if I can only do one, should I do cardio or should I do weightlifting? I would definitely say cardio. I mean, I do weightlifting because I love doing weightlifting. You know, I'm a guy. I like being a guy. I like being strong. I like having muscles, and that's perfectly fine. A lot of people enjoy it and they should do it. But I'm just saying, um, it's not more healthy than cardio. It doesn't burn more fat than cardio. I don't think it has anything over cardio except for maybe, like I said, people getting up there in age, like over 60. I'd say I would start to recommend weight training, maybe even more than cardio at that point, because I think it's more about like keeping your bones strong, um, keeping at least a level of strength such that you're not like falling down and breaking hips and stuff. So I think that would be, and this might surprise you if you've never, if you're like a new person to fitness, you've never thought about these things. You might be like, what? The one people he's saying that lifting is better than cardio is people over 60? Yeah, I think that's correct. I think anyone else, if they could only do one for pure health and fitness, they should definitely do cardio. I mean, of course, I think the best thing is probably just to do both, really. But I'm just trying to make you understand that this 90s idea that, oh, it's all about weightlifting, don't even worry about cardio. Cardio is useless. It's like, what? Cardio is what prevents you from having a heart attack, man. It's what keeps you healthy. And then obviously also burns more calories, but we've been over that enough. All right, we're moving now. Appreciate you watching. I'll see you on the next one.